Aloha. It's Wednesday, it's 11 o'clock, it's February the 17th, 2021. I'm Tim Apicella, your host, and welcome to What Now America? Now you might be going, well, wait a minute, I thought it was Rediscovering America. Well, when we came up with that name right after the election, the title of this show was Trump Week. Well, because Donald Trump was no longer president, we felt it was appropriate to move on because Trump was no longer president, and we thought that the gravitational forces of Donald Trump would soon dissipate. Well, that wasn't necessarily the case. However, Rediscovering America means that you are seeing something again. Well, we know that since the election, we're seeing things that we've never seen before. So rather than Rediscovering America, it's Discovering America. But that didn't make sense either. So guess what? The new show, which starts today, is What Now America? And we think that the format will be quite the same. We'll be talking about issues of the day, politics of the day, and we will have our esteemed guests, which I'm going to introduce right now, Jay Fidell, Stephanie Dalton, Cynthia Sinclair, and Winston Welch. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to What Now America? If I could just get that straight. Good morning, everyone.
Aloha.
So the title of this particular episode is Legal Concerns for Trump. And I guess the question goes to you, Jay. What sort of legal concerns should Donald Trump have? He has a whole litany of things that are coming his way. To begin with, a potential 9/11 Commission investigation, the Georgia Fulton County investigation against him trying to persuade or dissuade the Secretary of State and looking for 11,780 votes. We have then the District of Southern Manhattan, Cyrus Vance, that may come in with criminal investigations about either finances or payola to Stormy Daniels, things of that nature. So the list runs on. So if you're Donald Trump, are you concerned, or is this just par for the course?
Don't forget Larry Tribe's comments on the bill, the act of 1871 against the Ku Klux Klan.
That's right. That's right.
He said that was an excellent chance that would succeed, that case. That this could ruin Donald Trump because there are money damages involved in some of them anyway, and others are criminal. No, he's got the courthouse staring him in the face. Several courthouses staring him in the face. But remember, gee whiz, he's got 9 lives. That guy. He knows how to beat the rap. He's been beating the rap his whole life. He's been beating criminal and civil cases his whole life. He knows how to stir it up, and he knows how to push it off. And he's an expert in dealing with litigation. He's had 1,500 lawsuits in his life. Gee, I mean, it's got to be an all-time national record. So I want to add that I'm not sure what's going on right now. I'm not sure, where Marjorie Taylor Greene is. I'm not sure where the FBI investigations are. I'm not sure where the Congress is. I'm not sure where Mitch McConnell is. I'm not sure where anything is right now. It all seems to be in suspense. So if you ask a hard question now, Tim, I would say, can I get back to you on that? Because I really don't.
I have more hard questions I need to ask you.
I think all these cases are good cases, but I also know that Trump has a way to suborn and corrupt and intimidate prosecutors and witnesses. He is a corrupter. He's corrupted his whole Department of Justice. He's going to try really hard to corrupt all of those prosecutors, all of those plaintiffs.
Let me go to that exact point. We know that Donald Trump has used the Department of Justice, specifically William Barr, as his sledgehammer against would-be lawsuits, be it the ones that are accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault and rape in one case. So he used the DOJ to try to squash that. We've got the DOJ going out against Bolton about his book. Several people who've written books, Donald Trump was successfully able to intimidate them and use the DOJ as a sledgehammer. Do they follow suit? I mean, Biden said, I'm not going to intervene with what DOJ does or doesn't do. But does DOJ now drop all those investigations or would-be suits because Donald Trump's no longer the president? Does that stop?
Well, it is a strange question, and I forget which of my various channels posed that question. But it seems to me the Attorney General has the power to stop all of that, reverse that right now, instantly. I mean, for example, the woman he raped in the department store, the Department of Justice appeared to represent the president on a rape case. That's completely inappropriate. But when the judge ruled that it was inappropriate, they appealed it, and the appeal is still pending. Too bad for the Court of Appeals that's handling that.
Right.
But there's no reason why the Attorney General can't say, "No, I'm pulling that. I'm pulling that appeal right now. It's a silly appeal. We're gonna take the Department of Justice out of that case right now."
Well, they did pull the suit against the lady who wrote a book, Melania's friend, who was in charge of the re-election committee. I forget her name offhand right now, and I apologize for that. But there was one there, and they actually have withdrawn that inquiry. So
yeah, well, I think more of that, and I think the press raises this question about will they, should they? Joe Biden has said he doesn't want to control what Merrick Garland does, and Merrick Garland hasn't been confirmed yet, so it's not a good time for Merrick Garland to express an opinion on this. I hope he doesn't get wound up in the consent hearing on that.
right.
But bottom line is he does have the power to do it. He should do it, and it would be a disappointment if he didn't do it. He's got to clean up the mess, and so Biden in general has to clean up the mess. So I think what's going to happen is that will get cleared up. The Department of Justice will get cleared up. The people who supported Trump, I'm not talking about at the top, but lower down than the top. The middle management people. Oh yeah, it was Rachel Maddow. She had a show about all this. Yeah, they should go. They should go. They've shown they're corrupt. They were involved in something awful. They don't belong in the Department of Justice. So I think that'll get cleared up. The question really is whether he's going to go out and do more crime on the prosecutors, intimidate the prosecutors, intimidate parties and jurors around the country, directly or by implication. But
how is that possible, Jay? I mean, a prosecutor's not running for office, and he can't primary them. How could he possibly intimidate them unless it's through physical threat?
Be criminal intimidation. It would be a telephone call. How's your 11-year-old daughter? How's she doing in school? That's a tough place in school. I mean, that sort of thing, that mafia approach. So I think he's going to try that because that's what he does. And he's going to have a campaign on all those cases, and he's going to try to stop that litigation wherever it may. And he's also getting on the radio. He's going to get on the radio. Watch. I want to make a prediction, you guys. Rush Limbaugh died this morning.
Right.
Okay. Who wants to take that spot? You know what I mean? He's going to be a force on the radio.
It won't work. It won't work. You know why, Jay? It takes work to be a successful radio person, and he's not into that. He's into going on the air for an hour and blithering his mouth out and repeating himself 1,000 times. And yeah, but that means you actually have a list of topics beforehand, and he can't even do that. So I'm sorry, Jay. I'm not sure that he fills that slot. So anyway, thank you, Jay. Hey, Stephanie, what about all these pending lawsuits and investigations? And what do you think Donald Trump does or doesn't do with it? And does he use his money that he raised from America First to pay for, a good attorney in Washington, D.C. now costs $1,500 to $2,000 an hour, a good one. Does he start tapping into those funds and starts paying for all these attorneys that I hate to say, but he's suckered away from his loyal followers. He suckered them for all this money to stop the steal. And bottom line is it's going to be stopping investigations. That's what he really wanted it for, and that's what he's going to probably use it for. What do you think?
I certainly agree with all that, and Jay's points. I think that's why he's collecting this money from all of these poor people who are sending him their hard-earned wages or their unemployment extra money. It's really quite amazing. But what I'm pleased to see that he opened up on McConnell, because he has no Twitter. All of these people are running like scared chickens out of the barnyard because of what he's going to do to them, or primary them, or whatever his strategies are for just terrorizing politicians who are supposed to be pretty hard-skinned. So at least this last round of attack on McConnell is some look at what it is that he does to people. So he had to do it on the way he did it, which is not Twitter and not on the phone. And he did make some very scathing comments to somebody who has been also a loyal servant to him and facilitated his policies, or his proposals and what he wanted to get passed. I'm just astounded that he did. I'm not astounded. I'm happy to have a clear record of him coming back on somebody in a knee-jerk fashion, thoughtlessly attacking him, even though he's been quite a loyal servant, not to the degree of Penn.
Does this open up the divide between the old GOP, the conservative GOP that was rational, didn't believe in QAnon, may have had some old bad habits in their bailiwick, but the old party, the party of Bush versus the new QAnon party, the party of white supremacy, the party of the big lie. Does this now open up that channel? Is it Lindsey Graham versus McConnell, or where are we at on that?
Well, I think that we're at a mental issue place, because
tell him you're going to have to get back to him on that, Stephanie.
He can't
keep out of this, Jay. I'm asking her a question.
It is impossible.
Go ahead.
I mean, I didn't hear what you said, Joe, but my concern is that Trump cannot admit that he lost. So the big lie is not going to get cleared up. Okay. I don't know how people are going to, but hopefully people are smart and they're going to win their way off to another set of beliefs, because he will never be able to admit that, because if he did, then he won't have that posture to be doing this controlling of the Republican Party that he wants to do. And he thinks now he can do it and he can get people to primary people and all this. But as it comes to people's attention that, oh, actually, he is the only person running mostly that lost. The Republicans did very well in this election. They increased seats in the House. Their Senate got back. It's only Trump that didn't win. He's the top of the ticket. He didn't win. Everybody else did. So he's got a major blockage here. He's never going to clear that up. He can't accept it, or he won't be able to go on. And then to Jay's point about the Rush Limbaugh position, and to yours, Tim, that just way too much work. If Howard Stern wants to have him on to just go on and on for an hour, any of these people that want to host him, I'm sure that's what we're going to be doing, but he can't pick up any comprehensive approach to a program that's going to do something to influence people. Okay. So let's just see how he manages his mental state, because he's got a big problem.
Yeah, he does. Hey, Cynthia, thank you, Stephanie. Cynthia, since the impeachment trial and the lack of a conviction, people are very upset. People feel like justice wasn't served, and it ought to been. They want to see down the road probably justice served against this president who inspired an insurrection against our Capitol and convinced so many Americans of a lie, the big lie about the election being stolen. What emotional impact are Americans feeling right now as it pertains to this?
It's huge. I know personally, all day Saturday, I was just literally sick. I couldn't even eat on Sunday. I just was nauseated and sick to my stomach every time I thought about it. And I know that this is a common feeling that lots and lots of people are experiencing right now. There's this sort of despondency that people are talking about that is the worst, most dangerous thing that could happen to the Democratic Party going forward, is that despondency. Why try? what's the point, right? You vote, what's the point? He incites an insurrection, almost kills our democracy, and gets away with it. What's the point? These are all the questions that people are asking, and it's hard, and it's dangerous stuff that people are feeling. Now, there's lots of help out there for people, though. You know, there's Talkspace.com that you see Michael Phelps talking about on TV a lot. That's a great program that I really recommend. There's the National Alliance for Mental Health. There's some the numbers that are going to be appearing on the bottom of the screen here while we're talking for folks that need help. And it's all confidential, and it's all 24/7, and it's free. So isolation, they know, is the number one problem that contributes to problems with mental health. We're all isolated right now. So it's like compounding this problem that we have going on. So remember, there are places that you can reach out to where professionals can help you. If you don't have a support system like family and friends, well, in a lot of places right now, in a lot of cases right now, I mean, family and friends are exploding all over the place and divisions just ripping through them. So who do you call when you need to talk about how you feel about this stuff, right? If you don't have a professional that you already call, if you don't have a family member or a friend, then I encourage you to please call one of the numbers that I put up on the screen. This is a real problem.
Yeah, I usually call Tim
Okay, well,
myself.
but I'm not giving out Tim's
And
number.
I don't even charge.
What, your number?
Give me a call. But you know, Cynthia, your point is well taken that, who do you turn to? Because in the old days, you do turn to family and friends. And now, unfortunately, many of our family and friends is the source of our aggravation. So it's a real conundrum. And I appreciate you bringing that point to the table. I really do. Okay, so we're going to move on. I want to go to Winston on the point that we were talking with Stephanie. And that is, Winston, we had 7 brave souls that voted to convict in the Senate impeachment trial Donald Trump. They're now being battered in their home districts, and basically they're being either censored or there's calls for their heads, because how dare they vote independently of what Donald Trump would want. So you weren't elected to serve in the Senate independently. You were sent there to do Donald Trump's bidding. And so what's your opinion about these poor souls that had a backbone and stood tall enough to vote for conviction?
Well, it's like I said last week, Mitch McConnell will probably be running as a Democrat in 6 years, as will these other ones if they run. I mean, honestly, the problem is that as Colin Powell said something I think that was quite interesting. It was reported by CNN at Creighton University in Omaha. He said, "We've come to live in a society based on insults, on lies, and on things that just aren't true. It creates an environment where deranged people feel empowered." This is our Secretary of State, I believe, under George W. Bush. And so you have to think about what kind of, we need the best and brightest as public servants. But if they're, as like Jay said, they're, the thug mob, how's your 11-year-old daughter doing? That doesn't help. But I thought there was a really good article in opinion in the Washington Post that was just by Ruth Marcus on February 13th. It said, Senate Republicans suffering from Mar-a-Lago syndrome voted their fears. It says they don't identify with their captor. They're afraid of their captor. And I think that's exactly true.
That's a really good point.
Those few that voted against him were voting their conscience, but a day late and a dollar short.
I want to read something from David Ball, who is the chair of the Washington County GOP in Pennsylvania. Pat Toomey voted to convict Donald Trump for the impeachment trial. And this is what Bill Ball said. And I think it's indicative of where we're at as far as the philosophy of homegrown GOP these days. And he said the following: "We did not send him," Pat Toomey, there to vote his conscience. We did not send him to do what he thought was right or whatever he said he was doing. We sent him there to represent us.
Well, that, the thing is, that may be, but, and as Slate points out, the mob is still occupying the Capitol when the GOP acquits its president.
But let me read again the first line. We did not send him there to vote his conscience. We did not send him there to do right.
Well, he's wrong.
So they know their position is wrong.
We elect leaders who act in our best collective interest, and they have information and abilities beyond ours. And so while we have a representative democracy, they're also supposed to be enlightened leaders that do the best for our entire nation. And when they're held hostage like this, they can't do their job. If it was a pure, representative of the people, we would still be in the Stone Age. We have to have principled leaders standing up and doing the right thing on both sides. And so, you asked, like, where are we at? What now, America? I thought a Guardian had, so with Trump's acquittal, it's hard to know what to be most angry about, writes Emma Brox on Sunday, the 14th. So, there's so many different ways where the country's being jerked back and forth. And I was disgusted with what we all knew would be the outcome. And everybody wants to move beyond this as fast as possible. The Republican Party, of course, like NBC News says, key takeaways with acquittal, Trump wins battle for the Republican soul. That was in an article on February 13th. And I think that that's very true. So how it's all going to come out in the wash, how Ma and Pa Kettle back in Peoria are going to actually go. Are they going to go with the QAnon stuff, or are they going to go with the shameless hack Mitch McConnell and have him salvage whatever's left of his?
I'm glad you brought up his name. What is the motivation, or why did Mitch McConnell, moments after the impeachment vote took place, went to the Senate floor and called Donald Trump out to say, A, he caused this insurrection. He's ethically, morally responsible for it, and there'll be legal consequences for that forthcoming. Why did Mitch McConnell do that? Why?
The answer is pretty flat out. It's for money. Nancy Pelosi said that. A number of commentators said that.
For money.
He knows he's in a battle with Trump to raise money for the primaries and to retain power in the Republican Party in 2022. And his concern, probably with good cause, was that corporate America would not give money to what happened. So he had to make a statement about Trump's guilt, and then he had to, try to raise money that way.
Okay, well, let me go to this one. Is Mitch McConnell behind the scenes going to basically gather all the steam he can from those Republicans that he can rely on that are not Trump Republicans?
Yes, this is a battle for control of the Republican Party.
And does that mean it's going to break off, or he wants control of the grand old party?
Well, maybe one, maybe both, but I would say it's not going to break up. I would say McConnell has a pretty good chance. He's a smart guy, got a pretty good chance of getting control back through raising this money and getting corporate America to commit to more money in the future, and trying to win in 2022 and so forth. And you remember, we talked about the possibility that the power would drop off after the election, and certainly after this insurrection. And I think that's happening. I think you may not see it in the same degree we want it to happen, but I think Trump is losing his mojo. He's crazy. And I'd like to add one other point, goes to Winston's comments, and that's this. This isn't a question of the members of the Senate voting for a principle or a policy. It's a question of the members of the Senate voting for a personality. And Trump isn't policy. He's just Trump. And so, what's happened here is that they made a good case. And it surprises us that, the Republicans ignored that case. And there was a certain residual loyalty, of course, to Trump, because he's been on the phone all day and all night and intimidating them and bringing them down the meetings and all that. But over time, I think we're going to see his power, decline. The other thing, and this is really, I think, the most important issue, and that is, what is the senator there for? Winston said, and I totally 1,000% agree, it's for principle. It's for the whole country. A senator cannot tell you, that he doesn't vote his conscience, that he doesn't vote for the country in general, that he only votes for some noisy people, either in his district or in the Republican Party, however you look at that. That's not what the founders wanted. My point, he has a duty to represent the entire country. He has to be sensitive to the interests of the country. I don't care what the Republicans say in his district. He has a larger duty. And I think that's going to come out here. At least it's an issue.
Well, I'm surprised it didn't come out before the vote, and I'll tell you why. Mitch McConnell finally said, before the vote, vote your conscience. What he was saying is, don't worry about the legal aspect of the constitutionality of whether Donald Trump was out of office, during the trial to convict. He was impeached in office, but McConnell was saying, just vote your conscience. That was an instruction to all those GOP senators. And yet, Mitch McConnell didn't vote his conscience, but he wanted to talk about his conscience after the vote. Okay, so that's faux pas number one. I'm thinking of Ron Portman from Ohio, who announced that he was not going to run again as a senator. He was free. He didn't have to worry about being primaried. In fact, while I'm on the subject of primaried, there were 34 GOP senators that were not up for primary election in 2022. There were 16 that were. Where was their conscience? They didn't have to worry about Donald Trump trying to scare the bejeebers out of them.
So I think
Ron Portman is a classic example.
Let me throw this at you. I don't think it's as simple as conscience or no conscience. I think it's that 11 o'clock telephone call. I think it's intimidation and threat. And they were afraid of something that Trump made them afraid of. And in large part, including Portman, that's the reason they voted that way.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for an answer, Jay. Okay, we got a few minutes left. Jay, your last comments before we wrap up?
Can I get back to you on that?
Yes, I'll come around. I'll come around the horn.
I really don't know where we're moving. If you ask
you'll
me
have a chance to think about Stephanie, Cynthia's, and Winston's answer, because I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. Stephanie, your last words.
Folks in depression, we won. Okay, the comments have been that Trump would have been better off being convicted, because being impeached and convicted in the trial, he would have gained a measure of some having punishment or having some accountability. Without doing that, he has no accountability, and now he's open to a much huger onslaught that's involved in getting him some accountability. The other point is, for the depressed, we didn't get the gold medal. Okay, but there's a silver one that we got. It's the most votes for his conviction in the history of the United States of America. Okay, nobody's gotten this many, and it broke into the other party. So there is a lot here to encourage us in thinking that we're inching or centimetering or getting ahead with letting him go. It's gonna take some time, but it's going to do that. And also, because of not being impeached, this guy is full out there target for getting the accountability from the America's legal system, as McConnell said. Now, why McConnell didn't vote for him is, of course, about what Jay said and the importance of keeping the GOP funders happy. So there's this whole other background that has to be considered in McConnell's
follow the money trail. Follow the money trail. Okay. Yeah.
Picture. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, Cynthia, your last comments before we conclude?
Well, like everybody else, I watched Mitch McConnell, vote no, and then stand up at the microphone and say he was guilty, but I didn't vote guilty because of a technicality which we already voted wasn't a technicality anymore.
That's true.
So, it's not just depression, it's confusion, it's all this exasperation and frustration and stuff too, that granted we get these little things and they're good beads to hold on to, Stephanie, and I thank you for bringing them out. The problem is I'm afraid it's not going to be enough for folks, and they're going to say, well, you know, what's the point? And then that's when we really lose a lot of voters, and that's what I worry about, and probably the most. But last week you called me out on something when I spoke out being really bold about Kevin McCarthy's trip down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. And I said, I don't think it's to kiss the ring. I think it's to get their story straight. And everybody sort of said, well, a story's about what? What do you mean? Well, and then during the trial, what do we hear? But Kevin McCarthy had a phone call with Trump during the insurrection that could have pinpointed a timeline for when Trump knew. So I think there was a lot for them to get their story straight on.
All right.
Maybe that's why.
Okay. For the record, I called you out on something different, but we'll talk about that offline. Okay. Winston, your last words, please.
I want to thank Cynthia for pointing out that this has affected all of our mental health. And I asked that she put those numbers and those resources in our chat after this, and repeatedly put that in, because it is draining. It's exhausting. And maybe these folks, knowing the trial, we knew the outcome. We're going to have a 911 style commission that's coming out. Hopefully it'll have some teeth and some depth and breadth. And maybe Mitch McConnell can put his money where his mouth is and allow that to go forward so that we have a complete accounting. Nothing was going to change the facts of that the Republicans weren't going to vote for this. So maybe cutting it short is a way of reducing our trauma, because we all have Trump derangement syndrome, and we all have been held hostage by this man for the last 4 years. And the sooner we can get him out of our limelight, the better. I'm not as optimistic as Jay. I think that he still holds so this actually might as well remember this, Jay. I think that he still holds sway over, as reported in the media, of 70% of the Republican Party. And so I think they should be named the Re-Trumplican Party. Whatever Mitch McConnell and his cronies can do to salvage the reputation of the Republicans and ebb away at that, maybe that's my optimistic part. Jay, send me information as you find it. But we are going, the truth is already there for those that see it. And we welcome folks that are watching this show that might be on the other side that think, what are they talking about? Why is this man so bad? Well, you know what? Show us the good that he did, because the bad that he did, our nation is so damaged right now. We really all need to move on as quickly as possible, but we need the truth as well. So what now, America? I think we move forward. We stay as positive as we can. If we need help, we call the number Cynthia puts in the chat. And know that brighter days are ahead. We have a competent, good president in power with a great cabinet. So we have to focus on all of the good that is there right now, and let the rest of this garbage just kind of go down the drain as best as we can.
I really love your words, Winston, and I'm so happy that you join us each week. Thank you so much for those words. Jay, you've had enough time to contemplate a sage advice or last words. What might that be?
Yeah, listening to you guys, I can get a better handle on it. And it's a mixed bag, but I actually am more optimistic than Winston, if that's possible. And so we flipped positions, Winston. Good.
I almost knocked over on that one.
Yeah, fell down. Yeah. No, the reason I think is that Trump has been revealed. I think the country is at a low ebb now, from what Cynthia was saying. There's a lot of depressed people out there. You see this great case being made, and then you're seeing, an acquittal. What happened? How can you have confidence in the government? I've always said that if you want to rebuild something, you have to tear it down or be at the low point first, and then you're in a better position to rebuild. And I think we will rebuild. And I think you styled this discussion about his legal problems. He's got big legal problems. If one doesn't get him, another one will. They're going to try to take him apart, and they're not going to be easy about it. They're going to be hard nails. And he can call him at 11. It isn't going to help. So I think he's going to be under attack. He doesn't have nearly as many friends. I think it's real that a lot of people sloughed off the Republican Party under him. I think McConnell is trying to get better control of the Republican Party. I think we may lose seats, but the fact is we've lost Trump, and that's good. So bottom line is, I'm feeling that as this goes forward, we'll see soon, but the Trump will be pretty much out of the picture, and the country will be healthier. Okay, Cynthia?
Okay.
Okay. Hey, you guys, I'm really very fortunate to have such a great diversity of wisdom and opinions brought to this show and your perspective. I think that's what makes this show so wonderful. And to brag a little bit, I've got a great show here because of you. So I want to thank Jay Fidell, Winston Welch, Cynthia Lee Sinclair, and Stephanie Dalton. Thank you for joining on our new episode of What Now, America? I'm Tim Apicella, your host, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday at 11 o'clock for What Now, America? Aloha.